This week I'm going to explain to you why I think the Nissan Qashqai Ti hybrid is the bee's knees. You remember when this car was released, I made such a hoo-ha about its hybrid drive. And the reason for that is that it's basically an electric car with a petrol engine. Now, when I first picked this car up, it had almost 1,000 kilometers worth of range on it. This particular car is about 4,500 kilometers old. I like the front end. It's sharp, it's stylish, and I think Nissan's done a nice job of keeping the car looking elegant and graceful and simple, despite the inner turbulences that the company has suffered. This mid-range model gets smart LED headlights, adaptive headlights, and the engine, bear in mind, never powers the wheels. This is a two-wheel drive version. The four-wheel drive version is called the E-Force or E4-Orse because it's E4-Orse. Anyway, it's another story altogether. It has an EV-like feel, something I like. No nasty transmission to get in the way. Keep in mind this is a mid-range car. The back is fairly roomy, fairly spacious, though this tombstone headrest, it is only that far from the ceiling. I've got the seat up quite a long way, but boy, it does make it feel very closeted back here because the back windows have, although you can't see it, privacy glass. We've got a couple of USB power outlets and some vents, a fairly comfy armrest with a couple of cup holders, and leather look seats. This mid-range model does not have an electric tailgate, which I'm okay with. You open that up, there's plenty of room. Split 60-40 seats. And this weird bump, which is part of the electrical system. I have no doubt that if I lift it up, there'd be a battery under it. They've made lifting up the back really, really difficult. And there's no kind of lug or anything here. It's actually there, this little push down, just a cutout in the floor, and you lift that up and there's a spare tyre with bass speaker. The front equally as comfortable as the back. Easy to understand door control, a window lock for the other windows, door locks and the mirror controls, plus a couple of settings for the driver's seat power. Only the driver's seat gets electric adjustment in this mid-range model. There's a fully LCD dash, a large infotainment screen LCD, and this is really easy to control. It really is super fast to respond as well. Controls along the bottom, including one for the camera, and you can see that's decent quality as well, including a top-down view. Air conditioning controls, we've got proper physical controls for the whole lot, including the heated seats. Below that, there's a phone charger, parking brake, auto brake hold, E-pedal, and you press that if you want one pedal driving. So again, that's where it's like an electric car. Drive modes, of which there are 3, plus you can have EV mode only if you want. I'm just going to scroll across and you can see that we're doing 5.9 litres per 100 kilometres since reset, and that's over 166 kilometres. 5.9 litres since the last reset, also on the other odometer. That's 300 kilometres, 311. 5.9 is not bad. It's not as low as some of the Toyotas, but then this is a nicer drive, I think. And finally, there's a 12-volt outlet as well. And the steering wheel also has controls for the highway assistance, cruise control, voice control and phone, and then audio controls over this side. And the headlight and wiper controls, for a change, there's nothing spooky about it. It's just as you'd expect them. All right, let's get underway. As I set off in the Nissan, ooh, the petrol engine has cut in. Lovely. Now we're just in electric again. You can't really tell when I'm about to be passed by a Lotus. Yes. What a sexy little car. All that money and he still can't go any faster than me. I think that's hysterical. Handling in the Nissan is surprisingly neutral. The steering is set to heavy. You can change a lot of the characteristics of the car in the settings system. And I've got the e-pedal on, so let's turn that off. E-pedal's great for in town, not so great otherwise. I'm as impressed after the week in the Qashqai as I was at launch. It's such an improvement over the previous model, and it's had little tweaks and updates since it was released, but it's a brilliant car. Although you could certainly do a road trip in this, and you've got a spare tyre, which is very comforting. Most cars don't see much more than home chores, groceries, kids runs, school runs, airport runs around town. I saw a story recently about plug-in hybrids and hybrids being much dirtier than EVs. Honestly, some of the reporting it's ridiculous. Of course it has emissions, it has a petrol engine. Is it better than a pure petrol engine? Yes, it is. Because around town, the fuel figures on this don't much change. I'm just going to pop it into sport for a minute and see what difference it makes. Oh, yes, it makes a huge difference. Wow. Now this is still a relatively modest output and a relatively modest 0 to 100. But that is not what the Qashqai is all about. There's no point buying a car that you want to have a 2-second 0 to 100 and then complaining when it's 8.5. That's ridiculous. And that's one thing that annoys me about reading some reviews. Not that I read other people's reviews often, but a reviewer saying, oh, it doesn't handle, it doesn't do this, Look, if you buy a leisurely family SUV and then it drives like a leisurely family SUV, you have no right to complain. And the only thing that you can compare this to is another family SUV. The suspension setup front and back, fairly sophisticated, and I think that's why it feels like it rides beautifully. The other thing I like is that the warning system isn't nagging me all the time. It's not telling me to slow down every 5 minutes, which honestly is just, and in some cars is just so annoying. The thing that was a real surprise about the Nissan was that, considering it's a mid-range model, the audio system is absolutely banging. It's brilliant. And I think the reason for that is that Nissan have gone for quality. The Qashqai feels like it's got quite a lot of torque, and yet the figures are relatively modest. I noticed the warning bongs for lane control sound suspiciously like that electric brand who shall remain nameless, the one with the slightly psychotic figurehead. You can see it's gently guiding me in the lines. It is warning me. It took me too close to the line and then warned me that it was too close to the line. That's modern cars for you. This is not a super smooth road, but the ride is absolutely brilliant. I'm so impressed. Now for that you can get a lot of other things for the money. Drive away. I do worry that the Japanese and Korean cars aren't the value that they used to be, and that Chinese cars, which have become far more popular, will overtake them. Not that there's anything wrong with Chinese cars despite the Chinophobia. That's it for the Nissan Qashqai Ti ePower. And it's why I think the car is not bad value, although you can get a full electric Chinese car for less. Is this worth it? Well, it is decent quality. It looks pretty smart, and it's from a company that's been around for a long time. So I think it's worth it. As always, hit like, leave a comment, and just on the little round thing to subscribe.